Believe it or not, most of the decisions we make on a day-to-day basis are just from our habits. You may think that most of the things you do throughout your day are a result of well thought out decisions that you make, but it's just not the case as mentioned in The Power of Habit. Studies done on a man named Eugene Pauly have shown us something very interesting. Eugene was an elderly man when his ability to make new memories was basically gone. He would introduce himself to nurses and doctors he had met several times, and would repeat the same thing in conversation over and over. He suffered from a form of amnesia that seriously injured his brain's ability to make new memories. Doctors asked Eugene to sketch a simple map of his house and neighborhood one day, and he was unable to. He had no recollection of what the layouts were, he didn't even know which door led to which room within the house. Yet he was able to walk into the kitchen and grab some food and return to where he was, but still could not answer exactly where the kitchen was. He went outside one day on a walk and was amazingly able to find his way around the block and back home with no problem. But he could not answer where his house was located when he was outside. Although his memory was basically gone, habits were still forming even though memories weren't. But the habits that were formed in some other parts of his brain allowed him to do things that you would think come from decision making and memory. So what does this tell us? Well, habits will form in your life no matter what. I mean, Eugene didn't even need memory for them. And it's needed because without habits, our brains would be on overload. After a while, habits tend to happen on autopilot. However, they have found that you can change habits or replace habits, but if you do not actively fight a habit that's emerging, it will form. That's why it's hard for many of us to start exercising. We've built habits of staying on the couch and watching TV to avoid working out, or when you procrastinate, you've probably made a habit of going on social media or watching YouTube videos. How habits form within our brains occurs in a three-step loop known as the habit loop. The first part is the cue. This is like the trigger that tells your brain to do something. The cue is normally a location, time of the day, another person, some feeling, etc. The next is the routine. This is something physical, emotional, or mental that you do in response to the cue and is often the thing you want to change, like smoking, drinking, procrastinating, and more. Although the routine can obviously be a good thing like exercising or studying. And last is the reward, whether it be feeling relaxed or something tangible like money or food. This reward allows your brain to know whether this habit loop is worth remembering to do again. So maybe hearing your phone buzz is the cue, and you automatically check it as the routine, and you're rewarded with something as simple as momentary distraction from what you're working on, or feeling good that someone commented on your post. This can build a habit, and when maybe in a meeting if you feel your phone vibrate and you cannot check it, you start to become antsy. These habits will continue typically because reward is something you crave. The problem is that our brains really can't tell the difference between bad and good habits. So long as you crave the reward, your brain is just waiting for the cue and you will act. But how do we take control of that habit loop and develop good habits? Well, one thing you want to do is isolate the cue that makes you do something. They found that alcoholics typically don't start drinking because they want that feeling of being intoxicated. They do it because they want to relax, they were stressed, they want an escape, and so on. But whatever your bad habit is, you may want to figure out where you are, what time it is, what you feel, and so on when that habit occurs. Maybe you procrastinate more at night rather than earlier in the day, for example. For one study, they asked people who were overweight to track everything they ate throughout the day and what time they did it at. And people discovered something they never realized. Many were eating junk food at nearly the same time every day around 10 a.m. So what they did was started putting fruit on their desk in the morning to prepare for that mid-morning craving. This wasn't even doctor's orders. They did it on their own after finally realizing their habit of snacking. You could also do this in your studies. Take a day and write down everything you do and the time you do it at, and you can use this to learn how much time you spend on the internet versus working and so on. Now, if you can eliminate the cue for a bad habit like turning off your phone, that's good, but often you cannot, and it's not the best way to go about changing a habit. But one of the best things you can do is learn the cue and the reward, but only change the routine. So maybe you're feeling bored at work, so you snack on something at your desk and you feel more relaxed. Instead, recognize that you are bored and not in fact hungry, and maybe replace the snacking with a walk or something else more beneficial that still achieves a feeling of relaxation. The cue and reward stay the same, but change the routine and you change the habit. Or if you constantly put off doing homework and watch random YouTube videos to just feel relaxed while staring at a screen, which maybe is what you're doing right now, maybe you can at least replace random videos with ones that are directly related to the work you need to do, like watching a tutorial on that math topic you are putting off learning. It won't directly get your homework started, but it's something to begin with, and that way you get the satisfaction of relaxing and just staring at a screen, but you gain value and now your brain shifts gears to education and learning. And like I discussed in the willpower video, some habits can actually spill over into other areas of your life. Studies have shown that people who exercise habitually, even just once a week, will start to become more productive at work and save more money. People who make their bed every morning have better productivity and stick to their budget more. And families who habitually eat dinner together raise kids with more emotional control and who get better grades. It's not because making your bed directly makes you a better money saver, it's that initial shifts in habits cause chain reactions to other parts of your life. Now, another thing that's extremely important is you want to plan for how you will handle difficulties. This is actually big for the audience of this channel, which I'll get to soon. But they did a study on people who were really resistant to change. The subjects in this study were in their late 60s on average, they did not have college degrees, and made very little money. All these people had also just gone through knee or hip replacement surgery, and the researchers were curious who would recover faster. The thing about these surgeries though is that the recovery takes a lot of effort, as you have to almost immediately start exercising after the surgery to avoid problems, but it is very painful to do so. These people they picked were very unlikely to recover well at all. But researchers gave them all booklets that detailed the rehabilitation, but in the back there were blank pages that said, "My goals for this week are," and then a blank, and people were allowed to write down what they wanted to get done. After a few months, the researchers found a huge difference in people. They found that people who wrote down their goals in their journal were recovering twice as fast as the people who had not written down anything. But after going through the journals, they found people had written very specific things about how they would handle moments where they knew pain would occur. Like someone wrote how when they stood up it will hurt, but they have to take one step immediately to avoid just sitting back down, and then they'd continue from there. They focused on how to deal with times when their temptation to quit would be strongest. If when things get difficult is your cue to quit, then this will become a habit just like anything else. And this is big for people of this channel who will be going into college in the near future or are in college currently. A lot of the videos on this channel about college majors include some cool things you could work on in engineering, physics, sciences, and other subjects. And I try to show what you'll see in your classes to hopefully pique your interest and give you an idea for what you'll enjoy. But one thing that's much harder to show is the difficulty you'll come across in any of these majors. I cannot show you the frustration of not knowing why on earth your computer program is not working that you've been debugging for hours. It's hard to show these behind the scenes moments, but it happens and that's okay. Even though college is more difficult, you've come across frustration in school in the past. I know this doesn't worry many of you because you enjoy a challenge, but some people are worried that they won't be able to handle a given major. Now, no matter what, these challenges will occur, but this shouldn't alone turn you off to a certain field. You should accept this instead and prepare for how you're going to get through it. What will you do when things get really challenging? How will you make sure you stay ahead on homework and projects? You can do like they did in this study and write down your goals each quarter or semester. You can from the beginning try to adopt habits, like no matter what, studying from 6 to 7 p.m. every weekday, or going to the gym 3 times a week to relieve stress. You can look at your habit loops where maybe you feel anxiety before a test, so you surf the internet more during this time to feel relaxed from avoiding work. And you try to replace that routine with 10 minutes of exercise before working, or maybe find a friend to study with to hold you accountable. It is true that some majors might not be right for some people, but difficulties are inevitable and you are not alone. Plenty of others have faced them and have gotten through it. So after watching this, take a look at what habits you've developed in your life and how you can fix ones that are preventing you from meeting any goals. Remember, in order to modify a habit, you have to actively change it and find a new routine. It takes time, but it will happen. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.